I have been a parent for nearly my entire life, and for most of that time, I truly believed I was doing a good job. I took care of tuition. I made sure there was a place to live. I worked to give my child opportunities I never had. I guided, I protected. I made sure my child lacked nothing necessary to grow up stable and secure. I never neglected my responsibilities. I never ran from them. If anyone asked, I could say with confidence that I was a responsible parent. But then, my child grew up. And one day I realized my child no longer told me stories, no longer asked for my opinion, no longer came to me for advice. Not because we argued, not because my child was angry with me. Everything seemed normal, too normal. My child was still well-behaved, still independent, still living a good life. It was just that I was no longer part of my child's world. I had taken care of so many things for my child, but I did not know what my child was thinking, what my child was afraid of, or who my child turned to when they needed someone. And in that moment, I felt the most painful contradiction of all. I had fulfilled the role of provider, but I had left the role of companion empty. I was not a bad parent, but I was also not the person my child came to. And that forced me to look back at everything. How does someone who spends an entire life taking care of a child end up standing outside that child's inner life? When my child was young, I truly believed I was doing the right thing. I worked constantly, long days, long weeks, year after year. I left home while my child was still asleep and returned when my child was already tired. But in my mind, it all made sense. I needed to earn money. I needed to build a foundation. I needed to make sure my child would not have to worry about the things I once worried about. Every time I missed a family meal, I told myself it was only temporary. Every time I was not at home, I told myself it was the price that had to be paid for my child's future. And I believed it. I believed that as long as my child lacked nothing, as long as my child had better conditions than I did, that would be enough. I did not see myself as abandoning my child. I saw myself as sacrificing. And that sacrifice in my eyes at the time felt completely justified. Then time moved very quickly. My child grew up. The stories my child shared with me became shorter. The questions became fewer. I asked how the day was, and the answer was fine. I asked if anything was wrong, and the answer was no. My child behaved well-studied, stayed out of trouble, so I assumed everything was fine. I thought that if there were a problem, my child would say something. I did not realize that my child had grown used to keeping everything to themselves. I was still there physically, but I was no longer present in the small, quiet thoughts of my child. That distance did not come from a single major event. It grew slowly, silently. My child matured into a stable adult, and at the same time, I gradually became an outsider. Then there came a period when my child no longer asked for my opinion, not because of disagreement, but simply because my child decided on their own, chose on their own, handled things on their own. I still cared. I still watched from a distance. But I was no longer invited into my child's world. I comforted myself by saying, this was normal, that grown children are supposed to be this way. I told myself that to make it easier to accept, until one day something happened that made me understand everything. My child went through a difficult situation, not something huge, but something serious enough that a child who once turned to their parents would have reached out. And my child did not call me. I learned about it later from someone else. In that moment, I was not angry. I simply stood still. And in that silence, I faced the truth I had avoided for years. I had fulfilled the role of provider. I had given my child everything needed to live. But I had not become the person my child thought of when they needed someone to lean on. I had not walked alongside my child during the years when their inner world was being formed. And that is something that cannot be reclaimed anymore. It was only much later that I came to understand something very hard to accept. Raising a child is not what I once believed it was. Fulfilling responsibilities does not mean I was truly present in my child's life. I remember every tuition payment I made. I remember choosing schools, deciding on class changes, every opportunity I tried to create so my child could have a smoother path than I did. I remember achievements rankings, graduation dates. Those details are etched clearly in my mind like proof that I was a responsible parent. But then I realized those are not the things my child remembers. My child does not remember how much tuition I paid, does not remember how hard I worked to secure a future. What my child remembers are the times they spoke and were not listened to, the moments they wanted to share something small while I was too tired, the times they waited for one more question and I had already turned away. I believed that when my child grew up, I would have time to make it up. I thought connection was something that could be postponed, but the truth is, it cannot. Connection is not something you accumulate like money. It does not sit there waiting for you to return. It exists only in small moments, and it disappears quickly when you are not there. I raised my child to adulthood. I provided enough for them to step into the world, but I did not walk alongside them as they grew on the inside. I was present for the big decisions, but absent from the small emotions. And it is those small emotions that are where a child builds their inner world. By the time I understood this, it was too late. Time did not give me a chance to go back to those years. I could not return to sit a little longer, listen to one more sentence, ask one more question that once seemed unimportant. Those empty spaces cannot be filled with regret. My child does not resent me, still respects me. But there is a distance between us that I can no longer cross. I came to see that I completed the role of provider, but failed in the role of companion, and that is a failure that cannot be fixed. Because people do not open up once they have learned to close themselves off. When a child has learned to get through everything without you, your late presence no longer carries much meaning. The most painful thing is not being blamed. The most painful thing is no longer being needed. And now, as I say these things, I am not speaking to complain. I am simply facing the truth that time cannot make up for years of emotional absence, that raising a child is not just about making sure they can live, but about being there while they are becoming who they are. And if you are still in a season where your child wants to talk, wants to ask, wants to share, then you still have something I have already lost. If you're listening to me now, I do not want to teach you how to raise your child. I only want to say one simple thing learned at the cost of a lifetime. Do not confuse providing with being present. Do not assume that because you have fulfilled your responsibilities, connection will simply exist. It will not. Emotional connection is not something you can save for later. It does not wait until you are less busy. It does not return when you finally have time. It only exists when you are present at the right moment. And the most frightening part is how quietly it disappears. Your child will not accuse you, will not hurt you with words. They will simply learn little by little not to need you anymore. When they are young, your silence makes them sad. When they are older, that silence teaches them to manage on their own. And one day they will be stable without you in their inner world. You will not be hated. You will simply no longer be sought out. And that is a door that is very hard to open again. I am not saying everything can be saved. I am only saying that if today your child still tells you, stories, still asks your opinion, still comes to you with something small, then you still have a chance. Do not wait until your child is living very well, but no longer feels the need to share life with you. Because once that connection has cooled, you cannot warm it back up with regret. And no apology is strong enough to replace the years when you were not there at the moment it mattered most.